What is good, ladies and gents of YouTube? BBK Dragoon coming at you today with replay review number 3, MLG FFA. This is a tournament gameplay from HaloTracker.com. First round of the tournament. LX Dusty XL has sent me in the replay today. We're going to be watching it. Strong DMR to be, watching for. Strong players that he's playing against. I'm glad that we're getting some pretty awesome replays so far. If you want to send in a replay, YouTube private message me with your gamer tag and the name of the replay within your file share. I have about 14 to go at this point, and I'm having a hard time, pushing out more than about one a week. So you have a kind of time frame. I'm uploading these literally in the order that I received them. So if you're salty wondering why your replay hasn't shown up, I'm literally just running them in the order that I received them. I feel like that's about as fair as it's gonna get. And before I jump into talking about the replay too much, I want to let you know I'm gonna be back soon to university and back to Xbox Live in not too long, about 4 weeks in fact. If you don't already know, during the summer months I migrate and I move for a summer job opportunity where I live. Does not have internet decent enough for Xbox Live. It's been nice taking a break, but when I get back it's gonna be good stuff, streams, community knives, and a little something that rhymes with the word ornament, but I'm not going to say anything more than that. Okay, so FFA is probably my favorite playlist on Reach, and Sela is one of my favorite maps. Ironically enough, a lot of people don't like Sela. Oh, just a big donut. I really enjoyed Zealot because it forces constant action unless you're hanging out in hollows, and then hollows is kind of like free for all. It's a safe place to be. It's low risk, but you're also not going to get a whole lot of reward out of it. But other than that, it's a high-paced, action-y map. Dusty's got a strong DMR, and pull my notes up here. And I really want to focus on some broad things concerning competitive gameplay rather than get too nitpicky within this gameplay. Dusty is a strong player with a good DMR, but he's also playing against a lot of other really strong players. And it's hard for me to, from outside the tournament, which is a very high stakes pressure environment, it's hard for me to sit here just criticize blah blah blah. But I will say this: I love it when you are on this part of the map, Dusty, and you don't spend a ton of time here. This is what we call ring 3, and at ring 3 you have a huge amount of control over your angles. You can look over at the street, you can look over at any of the landings, you can get an easy pickup of the grenade launcher, you can go down to blue or red lights, you can head your way up like you just did up to one of the landings from the lifts, and it's a good place to be. But hanging out on the street, which you're going to be hanging out a lot on the street and then kind of back in hollows here, is not going to be too advantageous in my opinion for getting you a lot of kills quickly. The thing with FFA is your KD really doesn't matter unless you're feeding the leader. You do not want to feed kills to the leader and just constantly be pushing his score up. But with that said, FFA allows you to be very, very aggressive and to not really have to, be paying too much attention about being overly aggressive. There is a fine line, obviously. Like I said, you don't want to be feeding kills to the leader, and it can be detrimental in the late game to be ridiculously aggressive and feeding kills to, the higher up players. But don't be afraid to get really aggressive. Don't be afraid to go and chase. When you hear a gunfight, man, break your attention off what you're doing. Go and try and steal those kills. You know what I'm saying? The best situation you could possibly encounter in free-for-all is when you're listening on your headphones and you walk into, two guys who've got 3 shots into each other, and you just step in, take all their hard work, and clean the kills up. And that's going to be really hard to do when you're fighting up here on the streets. Well, I guess you're a little bit further than the street. You're pretty much at the landing. But when you're on street and when you're on landing, it's really hard because you only have sightline down the street over to gold and, towards ring 3. And if you're going to get into a gunfight with anybody at ring 3, as we just saw right there, that guy going down to ring 1, he's got just mountains and mountains of cover. He's got so many choices to where he can just completely dodge your shots rather than hanging out right here at the top of the lifts where you could get lifted up on. You could have somebody run from one of the med packs up the street behind you. It's just too hard. It's too hard to manage that. It doesn't allow you to control your angles. Whereas ring 3, that gives you access to the grenade launcher. That gives you access to all of the, blue red lights, even the gold, gold 1 up to gold 2 teleport thing. A lot of options in that part of the map. But with that said, you have a strong DMR. And we'll see the leader, GDK, pull ahead in the kills quite quickly, and he's hanging out a lot on ring 3. He's hanging out a lot in the whole ring 2, ring 3 area, and not spending a bunch of time in hollows, and not spending a bunch of time at the street, and or on the streets, I should say. And that really helps him out when he's trying to steal kills. It allows him to get a bigger vantage point of the map. It gives him more sight lines to the enemy. It's a little bit more risky being out, potentially on ring 3 if you're putting shots into 3 guys at a time. But at the same time, high risk can sometimes equal high reward. And that's one of the things that I just wanted to see a little bit more of in your gameplay, or at least in this game, was less time spent up here at the top of the lifts and up by top gold. As I said, you got 2 sight lines, one looking down towards the other street, and then people can just spawn in at the med packs and, well, I guess in the basements, then run up to med packs and then push over to you, and that's just not going to make life easy on yourself. So, as I said earlier, patrolling hollows can be slow, and one of the things I wanted to bring up too, I'm not sure, you said this is Halo Tracker, so it's probably an online tournament round, I'm assuming, especially since you're able to save the replay. But LAN and not LAN create really different circumstances when you're playing. If you're on LAN, a lot of times you just don't get away with half the escapes you can get away with when you're online, because not all your shots register when you are online, especially with live. You can get away a lot of times, you can escape around a corner, but when you're on LAN, man, it's really hard to get away from somebody whose shots are hitting you each time. So not sure how that factors into this gameplay, because I'm assuming it was over Xbox Live. So I jumped a little bit further ahead in the gameplay, and we can see that GDK Creature's lead has increased dramatically, while Dusty's, sort of falling out of the top 3. I believe he's in 4th place right now. And it's interesting for me to watch this replay back, because you're a strong player and you have a very strong DMR, and I think at this point it's just going to be where you are on the map. I love this ring 2 play here, and I would have loved to see more of it during the middle chunk of the gameplay and less time spent up, as I said earlier, in this top gold area on the gold bridge. And it's just so dangerous and not enough sight lines. But with that said, man, I want you to really not stress this gameplay too much, and not stress that you didn't come away in first place, because you showed strong DMR skills. You also showed a desire to want to learn, especially by sending this replay in. You've obviously watched this wow, that nade. Oh, that nade was sick. Let's see that again. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a Superman dive into the wall. Whoa! I love that. That's great. You obviously want to learn. I'm sure you've watched this replay back. But free-for-all is so streaky, and it's all about where you are on the map, and if you have gotten the right streaks at the right time. Did you get the chance to clean up that triple kill that was just super easy, or were you, looking towards the right end of the map when 4 guys were one shot, if that makes sense? So don't stress it too much. This is a strong gameplay, and continue to play more. I'm sure the more that you play free-for-all, especially on Zealot, you're going to find out the hotspots on the map that you want to hang out at, and the hotspots that you want to really focus your time and attention for. And just play more. That's what I have to say. You're obviously going to have games where, you feel like, I call them helpless games, where it feels like you have played your absolute best and you don't feel like there was anything else you can do. In those situations, man, watch the replay back. If you made silly mistakes, don't worry about it. Go practice some more. If you did, not make silly mistakes, that's when you can really try and use your noggin, try and figure out, maybe I just wasn't at the right place at the right time, and try and figure out what the right place is to be at the right time. So with that said, let's frame this up so I can put the bullet points up. First of all, big thank you for sending in the replay, man. You have a strong DMR, you're a competitive player, and you're playing against a bunch of other high-level players, so I'm not going to critique your gameplay over the top. Continue playing, and especially continue practicing on Zealot. You'll figure out the right places to be at the right time. Try and get that grenade launcher power weapon. It is a beast on this map, and especially if you can hold on to it longer than a couple of kills, it will be your friend. So there's my tips, man. Continue playing and continue practicing. You'll figure the hotspots out and where you want to be on the map that are going to give you the best sightline options. I give you my opinions. I love to see people up on ring 3 because it gives you so many chances to control your angles rather than just hanging out over on the red or blue landing or on the red or blue streets. So best of luck. Thank you, Dusty. I appreciate the replay. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video or you just plain liked the gameplay, maybe you learned something, please show the video some love and share it with your friends. It helps me out a great deal, but even bigger than that, it shows support to the players who are sending me these replays. For a lot of these players, maybe they haven't never even had a replay uploaded to YouTube before, and we want to show love and support and encourage that as much as we can, because hey, you know, you guys send me in your replays, we get to watch them, we get to learn from them. This is a collective experience, and I really enjoy it. With that said, BBK will catch you in the next one. Later, Gators. Dusty, great replay. Cheers.